Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining us today. The title of this session is Update in Cyber Tools. Our speakers will provide status updates on Comply to Connect and how this capability fits into the Zero Trust architecture. Presenters will also give a status update on cloud-based internet isolation and enterprise email security gateway deployments within the Department of Defense, and discuss how the capabilities benefit the DoD. On behalf of AFCEA International, it's my pleasure to introduce our speakers today. Ms. Tui Chi, Project Manager for Enterprise Email Security Gateway and Zero-Day Network Defense. Mr. Donald Cook, Program Manager for Comply to Connect and Enterprise Mission Assurance Support Service. And Ms. Laurel Lashley, Program Manager for Cloud-Based Internet Isolation. Ladies and gentlemen, please provide a warm welcome for our speakers.
Good morning, everyone. I am Laurel Lashley. I am the Program Manager for Cloud-Based Internet Isolation, and I will be briefly going over an overview of CBII, so we'll just get started, and these are the topics that I'll be covering. So cloud-based internet isolation is a enterprise solution that DISA offers the DoD, where we move non-mission essential internet traffic, and we define non-mission essential internet traffic as non.mil or non.gov. Well, it moves it from the DoD to a secure, trusted cloud, and it's an IL2 cloud that we're using to do that. So by doing that, we are offloading any potential threats to the DoD, and that's happening in the secure cloud. And by that, we are enabling network security, bandwidth optimization, and an improved user experience. So as you can see, there are a few benefits that are offered through CBII, and I'll just run through a couple and then also some future enhancements that we will have. So for CBII, the user experience is really intuitive. It's just like native browsing. There's only a small indicator that a user is isolating. For general users, they really can't tell. The only difference they really can tell, though, is that there is a performance enhancement that they realize. So pages tend to load a lot quicker than native browsing when they're going through the IAP. But I will get into that a little bit later regarding the path for CBII. So this graphic here demonstrates why the performance is enhanced with CBII. With typical modern websites, there are more than 6,000 lines of code. Well, CBII simplifies all of that and just renders to the user what they need to function. So it is exactly that, a rendering, a browser session that is enabled, and then once the user is complete, it is blown away or removed, destroyed. And again, it's not happening on the DoD, and it's happening in a secure cloud. CBII is provided to the DoD via the DISN rate, so there's no additional fee for use of the technology. Some security enhancements that I'd like to review. Again, moving off of the endpoint to a trusted cloud. User actions are strongly attributed to that user. We use a service credentialing, the CAC specifically, and so network admins or console admins of the CBII are able to look at user activity via the admin console and see what they've done. So that enables a lot of network security type action, logs and analysis, and so on and so forth. In terms of remote browsing, there are two options here. remote document viewing. There are two options here. So with CBII, we wanted to enable the user to be able to retrieve their documents without having to download it. Sometimes you just need to view a document. You don't necessarily need to download it. So there is a safe viewing feature where the user is able to retrieve their PDF document or whatever kind of document. But if they so choose to then download it, then it will go through a dual inspection process, once at the CBII cloud and then again at the Internet Access Point cyber tools. Another thing is video optimization. So CBII is used a lot for streaming services such as YouTube. Again, the videos render much quicker than in traditional browsing because we're offloading a lot of the clunkiness of the content. Some future enhancements that are coming for CBII include mobile integration. So right now we are able to do CBII on desktops, laptops, but we want to move it towards mobile devices. So cell phones, tablets. We are scheduled to do that probably in late FY23, but that's the next big thing coming for CBII. I will move on. So in terms of migrating to CBII, the process is fairly streamlined and simple, and it happens in 3 easy steps. So the first being that we connect with the customer. They can either email us or contact us via our site on cyber.mil/CBII. And we meet with them, and typically it's with the technical team because we want them to be able to configure and test connectivity with us. So we provide them with our manual configuration guides, the automated guide to, again, set up the group policy object. And from there, once we've gotten confirmation that they've established connectivity, we then move on to testing with a small group of users. So usually it's between 10 and 15 users is the recommended group. And we test for about a week or so. And then from there, the mission partner is ready to deploy the solution to their enterprise, again, through a group policy object or GPO. From beginning to end, CBI implementation can really take between, our recommended time frame is between 6 and 8 weeks, but it can happen much quicker. We had a mission partner in early March of 2020 who we were able to work with to implement CBII in a matter of 3 days at 60,000 users. So it is very scalable. Now, that's not to downplay the complexity of each mission partner's own operating environment and processes that they would have to navigate to implement the solution, but CBII in and of itself is a fairly streamlined and easy process to implement within a mission partner environment. So this is our bragging rights for CBII. This data shows the threat mitigation and bandwidth utilization for the month of March. Let me advance my notes so that I can stay on track. So as you can see here, lots of threats that have been mitigated in threat types have flash, risky files, uncategorized sites, et cetera, et cetera. So in the month of March alone, for the mission partners who have migrated to CBII, there have been 47.8 million, more than 47.8 million threats that have been mitigated. And then in terms of bandwidth utilization, you'll see that it's been more than 2,500 terabytes of non-mission essential traffic that's been offloaded. So really great numbers. And again, this is just for the month of March. When I did some analysis for FY22, on average, it was more than 1,800 terabytes of non-mission essential traffic that was offloaded. And then in terms of threats mitigated, on average in a 30-day period, it's about 43 million threats that were mitigated. So really good value add that this program is bringing to DoD and our mission partners. And I am going to conclude my brief. This is a graphic that was developed to encourage the DoD community to adopt and expand CBII in their environments. And so, again, this is some of our bragging rights. This is, again, from the numbers are a bit off. We have about 2 million users now and growing. At the end of FY24, we are expected to accelerate and migrate 3.5 million users. So each year we have a target goal, and we're on target for FY22 to migrate 2.4 million users. So again, hope this brief overview was insightful to you, and I would take any of your questions if you have any. All right, well, yes, sir.
My name is Sean Paul. I'm formerly with the Army RCC. Is there a path for the service's incident handlers and incident responders and threat hunters to be able to get access to accounts and information for the back end of that in order to investigate potential misuse of systems by the users for the services and these sorts of things, or potentially even identifying threats and being able to find a way to turn those into mitigations for the other elements of the service protection network?
Okay, so again, in my overview, I had mentioned that CBI is set up, and then there's an administrative console, and all the threats that are present or that we detect, and we detect zero-based threats as well. The network admins or the admin console admins would have access to that. We do provide data logs to admins as well. And yes, to answer your question, it would be able to be used for insider threat detection and things like that. Is that what you were getting at?
I think so. I think the problem is probably more an internal problem within the service because I know that the lower level people who do the legwork are not currently able to get accounts to that. So I will have to redirect that.
Okay. So, I would definitely say work through your organization's point of contacts, right? Because one great thing about CBII is allowing organizations to have as much autonomy over their tenants as possible. So once we assist mission partner organizations with deploying CBII into their environments, then it's up to them to then communicate internally, to whatever organizations, whether it be insider threat, their DIRT team, et cetera, to get the information that's needed to, know what users are doing on their accounts. Okay?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Donald Cook. I'm the Comply to Connect C2C program manager out of the Cybersecurity Analytics Directorate. This morning I'm going to go through a few slides describing C2C and how we are going about implementing this in the department. Let's figure out how to work this here. Oh, I've got to go through you. Sorry, no worries. So C2C is a comprehensive set of cybersecurity tools designed to enhance the cybersecurity efficiency across the DoD. It is a framework of technologies that is fused together with a concept of security product orchestration, right? So it talks to other security tools in the process of moving through the various steps of C2C. Simply put, it is a way to make sure that a device user is compliant, automatically compliant, before connecting to the network. Why C2C? Sorry. Why C2C? There's always mandates and directives and congressional directions that are given to support an emerging threat and emerging technologies or new implementation of a way DoD is doing things. The particular focus for C2C has been or did come from the assessment done by DHS, the findings from assessing their high-value assets back in 2018, where the list of things that you see here was a result of their findings, lack of data protection, inconsistent patching, on and on. And then specifically laid out in the NDAA 17, Section 1643, that spells out C2C and continuous monitoring. But on supporting that is the zero trust implementation that you see throughout the executive order from the president. So those things came together in a DoD CIO memo in January of last year, where what's the exact quote from the memo? As a congressionally mandated program, C2C will enhance the cybersecurity program supporting the department's movement to zero trust as an underlying fundamental principle. So, keeping in mind that adopting a zero trust model for the purpose of eliminating implicit trust is in any one element node is the focus and the objective to have a real-time picture of what is actually happening on your network. So here, C2C as an enabler for zero trust is intended to be sort of a foundational, from an endpoint perspective, enabler for zero trust. I'll just go ahead and build this here. To get at that, C2C is intended to have complete visibility of your network. When configured properly, you should be able to see everything that is plugged into your environment. And what do I mean by configured properly? Just plugging it into your networks and expecting it to find stuff that is there, it takes a little bit more effort than that. Working with other network administrators or networking and security teams to make sure that VLANs and other segments of the network are accessible to a C2C implementation will allow you to see and discover everything that is connected to your network. Upon discovering everything that is connected to your network, C2C goes on to interrogate those things that are on your network. There are thousands of things based on policies that are implemented at the component, some by DoD, some by Cybercom, that extracts information from that endpoint. What kind of operating system is it running? What's the latest patch that is on it? Has it been scanned? Who's authenticating? Where they're trying to authenticate to. So that interrogation can go through a myriad of things to understand exactly what this endpoint is, who, it doesn't have to be a person. It could be just a device that doesn't have anyone logged into it, that has access for interoperability or what have you. But from understanding and interrogating and scrutinizing that particular asset, and I think NIST calls it a subject because it encompasses all of those things that a particular device could be. Then there's a mitigation effort that will be the next step based on a set of parameters and a set of decisions whereby the system is either allowed to go on the network because it's compliant or it's not compliant. Those yes or no things. The latest antivirus, no, then it's not compliant. C2C has the ability to kick off a scan for that particular device, has the ability to move that device to a quarantine where it can be remediated before allowing it to connect to the network. And of course, once remediation is happening, then authorization, connection, and then there is some segmentation that can occur based on configurations, putting like devices together or systems together that do similar things, and leading toward a full situation awareness of everything that's on your networks, from visibility through the processes and remediating and knowing what is actually happening on your network at that particular time. This slide here is intended to show the relationship between Zero Trust and Comply to Connect. The same principle applies, whereby in a Comply to Connect at the endpoint, you don't trust it. You figure that conceptually the adversary is already in your network, so you scrutinize that particular device to ask or subtract the data elements from or attributes from it to understand what the device is doing, where the device is trying to go, what it needs access to, is it compliant, on and on. Idea is to assume that there is a breach. And this is conceptually, in order to shape the approach and the framework by which cybersecurity professionals should think about protecting the intellectual property of a particular network environment. As a pillar for Zero Trust, I highlight the two boxes there, that being complete visibility, and then obviously the understanding of your network health and being able to scrutinize a device are the two primary things that C2C does within a C2C environment. Within a Zero Trust environment. The other elements there are within the framework of Zero Trust. C2C has the ability to have interoperability with a Zero Trust deployment within a particular organizational construct to exchange information from a visibility and analytics standpoint, or a device scrutinization standpoint with other aspects of a Zero Trust environment as one of those pillars. This slide here is really the, my word, not a technical word, meat and potatoes for C2C. I'm not going to concentrate so much on the C2C program integrated capabilities. These are things that, you guys know what they are. Threat intelligence feed that you may have externally or internally to your network. Industry standards for what you do, what the networks that you have are designed for, healthcare, FSMA for the DoD, medical, what have you. Continuous diagnostics and monitoring for us is CMRS for DHA, who's way out in front on C2C and continuous monitoring, and who has implemented a good bit of this. So's the Marine Corps and part of the Navy. Data access policies that you may have implemented within your environment, PKI, identity, and of course SIMS, collecting events and data. But the focus here is on the policy engines. C2C is built around policies and how those policies are designed to look at and understand what is on the network and be able to make decisions about that. The policy engine works in concert with the policy administrator, as well as the policy decision points, the PDP, and the policy enforcement point. So the policy engine is going to compare the attributes and the status and the configuration of a particular endpoint with the program integrated capabilities. This is the orchestration piece that I was talking about. This is the security products fused together, as I was trying to explain in my opening, where you understand the identity of a particular endpoint, the identity of the person that's logged on to the endpoint, whether the device has a certificate or not, and if your policies are looking for that to understand if this device belongs with this environment. Whether this device has access to the data that is trying to get access to. Has it been scanned? Does it have the latest antivirus? Does it have vulnerability from the last time identified and corrected? And those things are, the decisions are made about that particular endpoint, and that's at the decision, the policy decision point. And whatever those decisions are at the policy decision point, the policy administrator is going to execute that decision. Should that device be quarantined? Should that device be allowed to the least privileges to the network, i.e. web service to log on and say, like Pam for us, I'm present, I'm here, to eliminate a phone call because you don't have access to anything else because your system is not compliant. Or should it be completely rejected and not let on the network at all? So the policy enforcement point, the policy administrator tells the policy enforcement point to do those things to allow access to the network. So that's the meat and potatoes of how C2C really controls and understands and remediates and ensures that there's a confidence level that systems that are on your networks are on your networks because you understand them, you know what they are, you know where they're going, and you're able to raise the confidence level that systems are secure. Is C2C zero trust? No. Can it do it alone? No. It needs to help from other tools in order to orchestrate, in order to determine, in order to make decisions. But more importantly, what we've seen so far is it takes a collection of teams to understand the security construct of their environment and to be able to provide a collaborative sort of working with one another in order to deploy C2C within their environment. And a lot of that, as organizations roll this out, we can use industry's help to help support those things. I'll pause here for any questions that anyone may have.
Hi, Larry Galvin from SAIC. I support the Air Force Lifecycle Management Center. That center has a wide area network, several of them that are not on DODIN. Several questions come up. Where do the control plane components reside? Who are the AOs? Do we need reciprocity agreements? There's just a plethora of questions.
I don't know the security construct or the decision points for that particular organization, but obviously the AO and working with what organization did you say that was? Air Force License. So I know that the Air Force is slowly moving out on Comply to Connect, right? And there's some challenges in the Air Force. And not all of the Air Force is under the same umbrella. So there's some structural issues that C2C is not going to fix. And that's the piece that I'm talking about in terms of personnel, in terms of organizational construct. If you don't have that kind of, and this is how I'm hearing the question to me, if you don't have that kind of organizational construct where security management has the same focus about Comply to Connect or Zero Trust for that matter, if they're not trying to understand a construct at the top, you certainly are not going to be able to do it at your particular level. And I think that's a lot of what we're trying to do and understand, working with DoD-CIO and JFHQ DODN, is to put that information out there and to start having those kinds of conversations. The process of C2C has been moving very, very slowly. There seems to be a greater interest in Zero Trust, right? But I think the message here today, though, is that C2C is a critical element for Zero Trust from an endpoint visibility, interrogation, and understanding your network infrastructure perspective. So I think I would encourage the Air Force component that you're talking to reach out to our program office to see if we can help facilitate what you are trying to get at. Thank you.
Okay, Kilt Guy again. So he asked one of my two questions. The other question is the analytics and visibility. You had SIEM on there. It's also one of the key components of Zero Trust, right? You have the identity management, Comply to Connect, and your visualization capabilities. All three of those are critical to each other. With the C2C stuff that you guys are doing, are you going to be providing the services a data dictionary that maps to the capabilities, the SIEM capabilities that they have, whether it's Splunk, Elastic, ArcSight, the different capabilities, because those field sets are different for each of those. Having a data dictionary come from you as a source provider would help the services integrate into their SIEMs a lot faster.
We haven't talked about data dictionaries, at least not yet. I mean, I don't know if you're tracking the rollout here. I mean, we've gone through step one, which is really just trying to get folks to, hey, can you start to deploy, start to understand your networks. I can take that question if you want to send that to. I don't know if we have that or you attend our working groups at all, but we can take that question for action and discussion. Oh, I got my boss here, so he can answer that. If you want to step here, Diane.
Yeah, so as part of the Compliance to Connect program, we are developing a set of data elements, data standards, and data formats. That's what we call a master endpoint record that we're trying to capture for each of the devices on the network. We're also in the process of working with UDCIO staff and defining, what are the set of core data elements and data standards that need to be provided from each of the components as part of endpoint security. So all those efforts that you asked for is in process, working with UDCIO.
No more questions for you. Go ahead.
Hey, sir. My name's Dr. Ken Shade. I work for Infoblox as a senior architect. We all know that security comes through visibility. If you have a tool that can look at your entire infrastructure and tell you exactly what your subject is, use your term, and exactly.
Well, that's NIST terms. That's not mine.
NIST terms.
Yeah.
But we used to call them nodes, but that's what it is. But right, so know what your subject is, what's on your subject, and then report on that, and let you know location as well, no matter where it is in the world. Would that be something that would be of interest to C2C?
Yeah, and I think that's built into the zero trust architecture too.
Roger.
Yeah. Thank you. No more questions? Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. And my name is Thuy Chi. I'm the PM for Enterprise Email Security Gateway program. So during my briefing, I'm going to use the acronym as EEMSG as the Enterprise Email Security Gateway. In the next few slides, we want to go over, what is EMSG does, what we are doing today, and what is the effort that we are in the process to improve our service. Okay. Next slide will be, here you go. So the EMSG, our requirements start around, our program start around 2011, and the goal is to provide the enterprise level email protection at the boundary to act as the golden first line defense for the SMTP traffic. So our mission is to improve the ability to detect, diagnose, and react to email-borne cyber attack. So, in average, EMSG, we receive 1.2 billion emails every single month, and those emails come from internet, from around 1,000 IP source. When email come in from the internet, our system, the email appliance is the first boxes to get the email. And when the email come out to the other side, our email appliance will be the last boxes to process those emails. That's how we provide the security boundary, protect the email from the DoD. So one thing important to understand that for the EMSG, we don't have the mailbox. We don't store, we don't keep any email. The email, when the email come in, and then we scan, block, drop, or delivery to the other side to the current existing email system, such as, DoD 365J, A365, or Flank Speed, etc. So now we're talking about data flows that EMSG we manage, right? First of all is inbound and outbound. The first one, inbound, is traffic coming from the email traffic coming from the internet, SMTP, and go to IAP boundary and go to the NIPA side. And the outbound traffic is email leaving NIPAnet to go out to internet and the other internal domain NIPA email. EMSG is hosted in the multi data center. So we have been involved in the transition from moving from the on-prem email service, such as the DAE, and we want to move to the software as a service, such as the O365 on the NIPA domain. So what we are provide to the community, to DoD today. Now, in this slide, we're going to talking about the current capabilities that we currently provided today. So, for the user, all the capabilities that we are provided should be transparent. The user don't see everything happen on behind the scenes. So the first capability we're talking about is the filter email based in the customer signatures. In the past, we have been involved in many cases to develop and deploy filter and signature for quick response to intelligence reports and world events. The second capability we are here is validate IP domain and URL reputation. By using sending server IP reputation on the inbound traffic, our EMSG be able to drop 85% of traffic from the internet, right there, and only 15% of email comment will be processed by the other email policies. Now, for the URL reputation capabilities, we only implement this one less than a year with the short-term solution. With these capabilities, we'll be able to relax the URL policy a little bit. Instead of in the past, we have to neuter all the URL in the email. But with these capabilities, we only neuter the best URL with the best score. And then, of course, we have the scoring system in place behind the scenes. So another thing we are doing is apply DoD enterprise security policy based on commercial standards. We enforce standard policy framework. We enforce the domain key identify mail. We enforce the domain-based message authentication and report conformance on the internet source email. So what is standard policy framework, which is SPF, does? This is the protocol to validate the sending server domain that help to reduce the spoofing. The DKIM is to validate the email where the email, make sure the email is not going to be modified during the transit. And the DMA is defined as a pass of SPF or DKIM or combination of both. If the email failed DKIM, the EMSG, we don't get that email. In addition to EMSG, we also have the zero-day network defense program sit behind EMSG. So the zero network defense will detect the other email threat in the email management. So after when the EMSG receives the result analysis from zero-day network defense, the EMSG system will take appropriate action to, stop or delivery to the other side. So now, what we are doing today to improve our system, to improve the security to protect the DoD email. Okay, so here you go. The first effort we are talking here is we will support directly to multiple Microsoft or 365 tenants. work side by side with the Microsoft on this effort. When this capabilities is in place, this is going to allow the DoD component to eliminate their current hybrid email the NIPNet. So what does this mean? It means that, cost saving to everyone. And by the timeline, we are expecting the IOC of this capability will be up around this year, 2022. And the second effort we are working on is EMG will be on the Microsoft Azure base to enhance the Microsoft or 365 tenant security. We are expecting two things from this effort. One is when this capability is up, we are be able to implement the long-term solution for the URL neutering, which we implement the temporary solution last year. And the other component that we expect from this effort is this one we provide the enforcement of the DoD enterprise on tenant-to-tenant emails because at this time every single tenant is enforce its own policy. There is no standard, no enterprise level. So we are expecting this pilot will be start in sometime in summer this year again. And last thing we are investing in into secure the email on the IL2 domain, which is the internet host commercial cloud. For anyone on the IL2, including .mil, we treat as an internet source. So we are in the process, our engineer, to thinking about, how to protect those on the IL2. So we may come up with something, new, or come up with something new architecture. We don't know yet. Still, in thinking process. More to come. So at this time, we strongly recommend anybody that .mil domain on the IL2 should migrate to the IL4 or 5 by then. By that, they will automatically receive the existing EMG protect service. So this requirement is still in the thinking process. So we don't have any timeline, anything from schedule yet. So now we already know about, what is the EMG does, what we are doing today, and what is our effort in order to improve the security, to protect the DoD email. So now I think that will be said. Oh, there's one more thing I want to bring it up, like in order to use the enterprise email security gateway, there's no additional cost to the DoD user. And as you see, this is all information that you can contact or reach out to us. And that is conclude the enterprise email security gateway. Thank you. And thank you for your time, and hope you will enjoy the rest of your day at AFCEA.